Have you ever heard networking is the key and immediately felt exhausted, overwhelmed, or just wanted to opt out? In today's job market, networking isn't optional, but it doesn't have to feel awkward, transactional, or painful. In this episode of Career Intelligence Podcast, we're breaking down what networking really looks like and how to do it in a way that actually works. I'm your host, Kathleen Dohoney, a career strategist and coach, and today I'm joined by Cynthia Maria Estalilla, founder of CME Beyond Career Success. Now, Cynthia brings over 30 years of experience across financial services, technology, hospitality, and talent consulting with a background in HR, career services, and client leadership. She's a certified professional career coach, career management strategist, and DISC style consultant. She works closely with PMI chapters, helping professionals navigate career transitions with confidence. Together, we're talking about why networking is a non-negotiable in this market, how to get past the discomfort, and how to build meaningful connections, even if you've never thought of yourself as a networker. So welcome to the Career Intelligence Podcast. And today, my guest will be talking to us about the power of networking and making connections in this job market. Hello, Cynthia.
Hello. Hi, Kathleen. How are you?
Oh, great on a cold, chilly day. So to
Pretty cold here,
start,
too.
is it? Oh, good. Well,
Yeah. I'm layered up here.
and we know each other through an organization, and you're the West Coast and I'm the East Coast. So this is kind of great that you've decided to come and join me today.
Absolutely.
And what I thought would be helpful is for you to just give an idea of who do you work with? What's your population and industry before we kind of dive into networking?
Yeah, no, thank you for the question. And thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate it. It's always good to connect with my colleagues too, who I don't get to connect with on a regular basis. So my name is Cynthia Maria Estalilla, plug in Maria, mainly because my business includes my initials, CME, Beyond Career Success, LLC. And yes, I'm in the West Coast, primarily in the San Francisco Bay Area. My target audience, I guess, is probably the best way to describe it, are mid-career and late career professionals. Those who are, mid-career, either changing their careers, may have been impacted by a layoff and trying to figure out what to do next, or just need career clarity. They're not sure if they want to change, but they want to explore what's out there. And so as far as my target audience in terms of, so that's the mid-career and late career professionals, but I really handle all different industries. So it's really more about the process of, transition than anything else, than the industry itself.
Yeah, now we can say a lot about this economic state and the job market.
Mhm.
However, networking brings a real knee-jerk reaction of, ew, I don't want to do that, or do I have to do that? In your line of work, why do you think this is really important? And what's the benefits?
You know, Interestingly enough, one, I love working with mid-career professionals because obviously I've gone through 3 layoffs myself. I experienced that. I've had career clarity issues myself. What do I want to be when I grow up? Kind of thing, and then, and even, even I've been in companies where I've been there a few years and all of a sudden questioning myself, what do I do next? But we all know how crazy the market is right now, and how it's just impacted all of us in every possible way, not just professionally, in every way, right? And I think specifically in the last couple of years with AI playing a huge role. Right. Now, as far as networking is concerned, I always hear with mid-career professionals and especially late career professionals, oh, I don't network, Cynthia. No, I've always just gone to work. My network are the people around me, right? And of course, my family, and that's it. Go to work, do my thing, go home, and I'm with my family, and that's it. Or of course, my close friends. And networking is non-negotiable right now, Kathleen.
Right.
It's so non-negotiable. I say that all the time. And I think the reason why, especially mid-career professionals are hesitant about networking is
Mm.
they think it's work. They think it's a, like they think networking is a lot of work. And some people are not comfortable with it. I think when in my day, was back in the day, as we use those terms, networking was going to career fairs
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
seeing all these people, 200 plus people, and that fear of, I'm not talking to all those people. I'm not introducing myself to those people. And mid career and late career professionals have always known networking as that. Right? You went to college, you were taught to network in a way that was more kind of big event, focused. But it doesn't have to be that way. But today it's extremely important and it is non-negotiable because you have to be visible. You have to showcase your credibility. What is it that you're really good at? People have to know. And people have to know you in order to talk about you, of course, favorably. That way it becomes natural. I will think of Kathleen when I think of a job that comes up because I know Kathleen is really good at A, B, and C. And that was all through networking. That was networking through conversations, networking being intentional, networking being habitual. Kathleen, I use that term a lot too. It doesn't have to be work. It doesn't have to feel like work, but it should be habitual, especially in your professional career.
So I really loved how you talked about this large, overwhelming sort of elephant in the room. Gotta network with all of these people, and it's too hard. So I kind of think of it in three buckets: are those you know, people in your inner circle, maybe those you're acquainted with. People
Mhm.
could be anything from someone at your place of worship to someone that you regularly go for a haircut. And then those that are on the fringe. The fringe meaning you might have heard of them, but you really don't know them. So those who struggle, how would you suggest that they start to reach out? What would be some ideas or where could they go?
Actually, you hit it right on the spot there, Kathleen. It always starts with who you know and who you're most comfortable with, and
Mm,
that's where it begins. Because we know some people they also talk about being introverted, and
sure.
it's that feeling of I don't put myself out there, Cynthia. That's what they think networking is. But the comfort level to begin with are the people you know the most. Start with your friends. Start with your family. And how do you do that? What do you do with that? Well, they have to know what you do, especially from a professional level. They have to know what's important to you. And again, starting with the people that you know that you're most comfortable with, friends and family. That's where I would start with first and see if they can understand, you know, what it is that's important to you, who you are, and see if they can articulate that back to you. And once you get comfortable, that's a small, I shouldn't say a small group. That could be a large group. You could have a big family. You could have several friends, but those are the people you're most comfortable with first. Start there. And then just practice telling people who you are, what's important to you, get feedback. And once you get into that comfort zone of having those conversations and make it intentional, tell people you're doing that because you want to be comfortable with networking. It's okay to say that and get feedback. And once you start getting feedback from the people you know, and we know these terms, like and trust, the
Right.
know, like, and trust. Career professionals know those words. Once we get comfortable with that, we can have them introduce us. So we don't have to make those introductions. We don't have to put ourselves out there, but start with the people you're most comfortable with.
So I want to circle back on something you mentioned about at the beginning and even as we're having this discussion, know what you do, have the clarity. I hear, like you, I can do a lot of things. I'm a person that's able to do multiple jobs. What would you say to someone that brings that to you? Because is that too messy when you go out there trying to talk to people?
It's absolutely messy. It's messy, it's confusing. It's hard to practice if you're gonna, and to sell yourself, right? And of course, when I mean sell yourself, it's really just being visible and credible about who you are and what you do. I hear that all the time. Oh, Cynthia, I'll take any job. Oh, Cynthia, I'm really good at 10 things. Right. How are people going to talk about you? So if Kathleen, if you told me 10 things about yourself and all these different roles that you've done, how am I going to succinctly and confidently talk about who is Kathleen? I can't. I'd get confused myself. So what I often advise is think of the top 3 things. This is a market you have to be targeted because there's so many people. Let's face it. There's so many people out of work right now. That's made the competition even greater. Now you really need to distinguish yourself. So if you never networked before, going back to networking is non-negotiable. Now you got to get comfortable talking about yourself. And I don't mean boasting about yourself. I'm just talking about what's important to you. I always use the number 3. 3 is easy. Right? Say 3 things you're really good at, that you like to do, that you want to bring to your next role, and then add 1 or 2 roles that would really solidify who Kathleen is, who Cynthia is. If you take it by just saying 3 top things you're really good at and maybe honing in on some roles, it'll make it easier for you to practice. Practice telling people about that. Now I can easily say what Kathleen is really good at. I can easily say, what do you want to consider Kathleen for? Well, there's two roles she's really targeting. And if you habitually and practice that, now people will know. And now you'll feel confident. You'll build that confidence in yourself with using that script. You'll build your own script. You'll continue to practice that. And now you can even go beyond the people that you're most comfortable with.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the power of 3 because, as you said, 3 great strengths, but also you started with those you know. You can start to dip your toe into the pool of some of those acquaintances. Because
Mhm.
one thing you and I are probably old enough to remember that old shampoo commercial. You tell 2 people and they tell 2 people and so on and so on. And that's
Right.
exactly what can happen. How would someone, though, approach people on the fringe? I see you at a company I'm interested in, and it feels really challenging just to go do cold calls. And a lot of people are getting hit up with that and not responding. What might you say, and maybe what might you not say?
Nah, that's a great question, or questions, I should say. Those are great. So the first thing I would say is do your homework. Do your homework before you start talking to someone or even trying to reach out to someone. And I think the most popular way that people talk about that's uncomfortable is LinkedIn, right? How do I go into
Mm.
LinkedIn? I don't use LinkedIn. I hear that all the time, mid-career, late career professionals. Cynthia, I'm not comfortable using that. And now people are telling me, oh, I got to meet people on LinkedIn. I don't even like meeting people in person. What more on LinkedIn? But that's where professionals are, right? That's another non-negotiable. So how do you approach these people to what we call expand your net? You're cultivating your current network, the people who you know, like, and trust, your family, your friends. You're hoping that you have developed a really strong kind of presence about yourself when you talk to people, your top 3 strengths, your top roles that you possibly want to target. Right? But now you're talking about people who you've never met. Do your homework. And when you're talking about companies, do your homework. Learn about what's important to that company, what their vision is. What are they looking at in the next couple of years? And have kind of an intelligence toolkit ready to go. So when you do reach out to someone at that company that you want to work for example, right? You know about the company, you know a little bit about the direction they're taking, right? And I always talk about um, alignment, right? How can you align what you've done, what your strengths are, what you want to do with that company? And when you find someone, and I'm going to give LinkedIn as an example again, You find somebody who works at that company. We always try to look for decision makers because those are the most important people, decision makers, the hiring managers, the people who lead us to decision makers like recruiters. But what about people who actually have the job in that company that you're most interested in? Why not reach out to them? Check, see how active they are in LinkedIn. Check out what they post. Pull together your intelligence toolkit. Be ready to have that conversation. And when you reach out, again, using LinkedIn as an example, find someone in any of those roles, hiring manager, recruiter, or in that role. Introduce yourself and say, really excited about what your company's doing. Maybe there's a post that they put in there that you want to respond to. Maybe it's something that person who is in that role is doing that you want to respond to, but have something ready to talk about because you want to first establish interest and commonality. And the commonality is, hey, guess what? Your company's doing some great things. I can see myself there. I'd love to be part of that, culture, that company. I'd love to learn more. So take that approach, find someone, whether it's a decision maker or someone else in that company, and see how you can start that link. What have you learned? What do you want to know? And then put yourself out there and say, if there's any opportunity I can learn more from you, could we hop on a quick call? Or maybe exchange emails if they don't want to have a quick call, but find the link first and start that interest and that commonality. And then from there, you just never know where it'll take you.
You're so right, Cynthia. I think the base of this all is building some trust. I think people want to help people that they know will be a good fit for the organization. One of the other things sometimes I suggest is ask that person for some insights. Is there someone else you recommend that I could talk to, whether it's in the company or within the quote unquote industry? So building the trust is really important. Any tips for what not to say? I think I have a thought, but
yes,
that
absolutely.
people go about it the wrong way and really turn people off. What might they not say?
Absolutely. Well, I always tell my clients, do not come into it saying, I need a job.
Right.
I'm reaching out to you because I need a job, even though they probably know that. I mean, I think when I think the reality, especially now, is people are looking or exploring. Whether they're looking now or exploring, there's still that idea of, I'm looking for a job. There's some kind of message always kind of subtle in there. But you don't want to say that to somebody you're just trying to expand your network with and meet for the first time. Because right away, they're going to feel obligated to, well, it's a turn off. And
Yes.
two, they're going to feel obligated to have to share something with you or tell you how they can help you get a job. You don't want to put that onus on them.
Now, from time to time, I do work with people kind of looking at an idea of using a networking bio, or I've heard it called handbill. It's a one-page document doing a high-level overview. What are your thoughts about using something like that to leave as something behind for them to review it, because they may not have something right then and there? Any
Mhm.
thoughts?
Mhm. I think that's a great idea. I think now that I think about it in terms of like a leave, um, or a share when you're introducing yourself, I would probably, me being the recipient, I would probably be more receptive to someone sending me a bio or a little snapshot of themselves
Mm,
than a resume. To be honest with you. I mean, as an initial introduction, I would probably be more receptive to that. Because that way, even though it's not that sending a resume is a bad thing. That's okay too. But I think it would just be more, it would just be more accepting, I think, if someone just said, hey, this is a little bit about me, not necessarily implying that, hey, take my resume and forward it on. There could be two different messages there. So I would be very receptive to that. Now, I would keep it brief because you wouldn't
yes.
want, so, yeah, like you said, the one pager would definitely help. But yeah, I think that's a great marketing tool for yourself. Absolutely.
I think it also builds a bit of trust. I'm
Mhm.
not asking you to send my resume within the organization and find me a job. I'm really here to share with you a little bit about me and go back to using this person as a way to gain insight. And I think that is another way to keep that relationship going a little bit longer than, hey, find me a job.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, recommend any other unconventional ways to do outreach? Anything else that you have thought of that might be different than just using LinkedIn?
I think today is everything, it's kind of like use every possible tool that you're comfortable with. Okay. I only use LinkedIn. I don't use other social media sites because I just don't have time. So
Yeah.
I think if anything, I don't have time to invest in that, right? I'm a people person. So I like to meet people in person. Now, I have a funny story because I remember I did this networking webinar once. And this one gentleman told me, I have 3 kids, Cynthia. I ain't got time for that. Right? I ain't got time. And so, you know what I told him? And I'm going to make up a name, right? And say, John. Hey, John, this is a webinar. Like all these people listening to this. And I go, John, um, you eat like maybe 3 meals a day? Maybe skip breakfast sometimes. And he goes, yeah, 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 right. And I said, well, guess what? Right. You need to build this into your meal schedule. You need to make this a priority. Eating for me is priority. So, yeah. So if you can eat 3 meals, okay. If you skip breakfast, let's say 2 meals a day, you can build this in your schedule. And so everybody laughed on that webinar. You could just see the chats and people, the videos and people just laugh. And I said, that's how habitual it should be. And it could be natural. Natural. It doesn't have to be like formal meetings. And, I it I think that's where people make it feel like it's uncomfortable. It doesn't have to be so formal. Oh, we have to meet at this time. And, of course, you're going to want a combination of that because if you are information gathering about jobs, about companies, yes, you're going to need some formality built into that. But if you want to get yourself comfortable and make networking natural, feel natural, just have basic conversations, but build it into your day if you're not already doing that. Because the more you practice, the easier it is. The more you practice. But you have to start with who you are. You have to really get comfortable describing who you are and, that famous elevator pitch. And once you get comfortable with that, saying it over and over again and getting feedback, it does become natural. It becomes like, but built it in, make it habitual.
What I like about that is, as we've said all along, is having that clarity because you could attend a weekly class, hobby, yoga class, whatever it is, where here are some people you know. Don't discount this group that you already have. Uh, I think for technology purposes and other platforms, there are recruiters that reside on like a Slack or Reddit or Discord. That could be another option for people who say to you, I'm not interested in LinkedIn, feels overwhelming. Um, so the unconventional ways will be thinking beyond your local family and friends, trying to find people on the fringe, but then other ways that you can see people through even professional networking associations.
Absolutely. And that's my favorite.
Okay.
That's my favorite one because that's how I started my business. I just happened to be connected. Well, I shouldn't say happened to be, but I was volunteering for a professional association. I thought I was going to be a project manager, and instead I became their career coach in the project management
Oh,
organization. But I started off volunteering because I really thought I wanted to get more information about being a project manager. And that's how I started my business. They became my clients as opposed to me being a project manager. But there was just an innocent wanting to learn about project management, joining the organization, volunteering, right? And to this very day, that I have 2 major chapters that are my clients, and I started with that. It started just, volunteering.
oh, that's fantastic. Yes. So another unconventional way, volunteering.
Mhm, mhm.
So, Cynthia, as we wrap up, do you have any final advice for the listeners?
Wow. It's going back to being non-negotiable. That it's something that you have to get comfortable with, but it starts with you. So I would first start, as we started this podcast, is really identifying, what do you want people to know about you? What are maybe top 3 things, skill set or strengths that you want people to know about you? What's important to you if you're looking at it, a job change or a career change or an industry change? What's important to you? Maybe it's companies you want to identify with or you do identify with. But learn to practice really tightening up your messaging, who you are, what's important to you, and practice that. Practice that with the people you know and get comfortable with the idea of networking, because it's not just that next job. It's your entire career.
Well, I want to thank you for joining me today on
Thank
thinking
you.
about networking in a different approach, taking a different approach. I'd like to end it by asking, what's next for you?
What's next for me? Let's see. Probably breakfast. No. I'm on the West Coast, and I started off, and I realized I didn't finish my breakfast. What's next for me? I'm very blessed right now. I am in the company of people like you, Kathleen, a lot of very talented career services professionals, and who are doing great work, and I'm constantly learning. And that's
Oh,
what's next for me, is continuing to learn. AI is huge. We got to
yes.
keep up, understanding the market, understanding what our clients need from us, and pivoting all the time. Just pivoting and letting them know we are there for them. And we are there to understand what's happening in the market. We are there to continue to build our expertise, and making sure people realize how important they are. I think we forget, especially mid-career and late career professionals forget what they've done, what they've accomplished. I
Right.
think as career services professionals, we need to remind them what they've done and what they've accomplished, and they should be really proud of that in order for them to continue to be successful in their careers. And that's what my mission is going to be in various ways. And I thank you for having me,
Yes, and we will put your contact information in the show notes if you'd like to reach out to Cynthia. Cynthia, thank you so much.
Kathleen. This was great.
This conversation really reinforces one powerful truth. Your career doesn't move forward by chance. It moves forward by trust and relationship building. And networking isn't about asking for favors or chasing jobs. It's about helping people understand who you are, what you're great at, and where you want to go, so they can advocate for you when it matters most. If today's episode resonated with you and you're thinking, I need help getting clear, confident, and strategic about my career, that's exactly where I come in. Through my coaching, I help professionals clarify their value, tell their story with impact, and navigate career transitions. You can learn more about working with me and schedule a free discovery call by visiting my website at celticcareerpros.com or reach out to me on LinkedIn. Plus, all the links and Cynthia's contact information will be in the show notes. And if you found this episode helpful, I'd love for you to follow the Career Intelligence Podcast, rate and review the show, and share this episode. Thanks again for listening, and remember, your career intelligence is one of your greatest assets. I'll see you next time.